In the heart of Salem, where secrets fester like wounds and truths are as elusive as shadows, the latest chapter of Days of Our Lives has left fans gripping the edges of their seats. The air is thick with suspicion, and the stakes have never been higher. At the center of this storm stands Sophia, a woman whose carefully constructed facade is beginning to crack under the weight of her own deception. Will Brady and Steve, two of Salem's most tenacious truth-seekers, finally unravel the lie that threatens to tear their world apart? Welcome to another electrifying edition of TV Days Drama Digest, where we dive deep into the heart-pounding drama of Sophia's secret and the relentless pursuit of the truth. Sophia's story has been a labyrinth of half-truths and misdirection from the start. Her arrival in Salem was marked by whispers and sidelong glances, her polished exterior hiding a past shrouded in mystery. But it was a single, seemingly innocuous slip of the tongue that set this drama in motion, a moment so fleeting yet so seismic that it has sent ripples through the lives of everyone around her. During a heated conversation, Sophia let slip the name of her child, referring to the baby as a boy. The room fell silent. Eyes narrowed. Brady, ever the skeptic, caught the inconsistency immediately. His mind raced back to an earlier exchange with Sarah, a conversation that now seemed to hold the key to a devastating revelation. Sophia had claimed her child was a girl, a story she'd spun with such conviction that no one dared question it until now. The spark of suspicion. Brady's instincts have always been sharp, honed by years of navigating Salem's treacherous waters. That single word boy was like a match struck in a room full of dynamite. He couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. Sophia's story, once airtight, was beginning to fray at the edges. Her smiles were too forced, her explanations too rehearsed. Brady's gut told him there was more to this than a simple mistake, and he wasn't the kind of man to let a mystery go unsolved. His thoughts kept circling back to Sarah, the one person who seemed to know more than she was letting on. Sarah, with her kind eyes and unshakable moral compass, had been unusually guarded when the topic of Sophia's baby came up. Brady recalled their conversation vividly, the way Sarah's hands fidgeted, the way her gaze darted away when he pressed for details. It was clear she was hiding something, but why? What could be so damning that even Sarah, a woman bound by her principles, would keep it locked away? Unbeknownst to Brady, Sarah was wrestling with a secret that threatened to upend everything. As a doctor, she was bound by the ironclad rules of patient confidentiality, but the weight of what she knew was crushing her. She had seen Sophia's medical file, a document that laid bare the truth Sophia had worked so hard to conceal. The file confirmed what Sarah had suspected all along. Sophia had given birth to a boy, not a girl as she claimed. The baby, now in the care of Javi and Leo, was thriving, but Sophia's lie was a ticking time bomb, one that could detonate at any moment. The truth hides in plain sight. Sarah's discovery was a revelation that shook her to her core. She had always prided herself on her professionalism, on her ability to separate her personal feelings from her duties as a doctor. But this was different. This wasn't just a medical record, it was a lie that could destroy lives. Sophia's claim that her baby was a girl was a deliberate fabrication, a carefully crafted story designed to keep the truth buried. But why? What was Sophia hiding, and what did she stand to gain by deceiving everyone around her? Sarah's mind raced with possibilities. Was Sophia protecting someone or something? Was the lie about the baby's gender a shield for a deeper, darker secret? She knew she couldn't reveal what she'd found, not without violating her oath. But the guilt gnawed at her, a relentless reminder that her silence was allowing Sophia's deception to fester. Every time she saw Brady, his piercing gaze seemed to bore into her soul, as if he could sense the truth she was holding back. She wanted to tell him, to unburden herself of this terrible knowledge, but the rules of her profession held her in an iron grip. Meanwhile, Brady's suspicions were growing stronger by the day. He couldn't shake the image of Sophia's face when she'd made that fateful slip. Her eyes had widened for a fraction of a second, a flicker of panic that betrayed her composure. It was the kind of tell that only someone like Brady, who had spent years reading people, would notice. He knew he couldn't confront her directly, not yet. Sophia was too clever, too quick to spin a new story to cover her tracks. If he was going to expose her, he needed proof. And for that, he needed help. A partnership forged in pursuit of truth. Enter Steve, the grizzled veteran of Salem's many battles, both literal and figurative. Steve had seen it all: betrayals, cover-ups, scandals that could make even the most hardened cynic blanch. When Brady approached him with his suspicions, Steve didn't hesitate. The two men had a history of working together, their combined skills a formidable force against even the most cunning adversaries. Steve's investigative prowess, coupled with Brady's relentless determination, made them a duo to be reckoned with. "Something's not right," Brady said, his voice low and urgent as they met in the dim light of the Brady pub. The familiar hum of conversation and clinking glasses provided a comforting backdrop, but there was no mistaking the tension in Brady's posture. "Sophia's lying about the baby. I don't know why, but I can feel it in my bones." Steve leaned back in his chair, his one good eye studying Brady with a mix of amusement and respect. "You've got a nose for trouble, I'll give you that," he said, a wry smile tugging at his lips. "What's your angle? You think she's hiding something big?" "I know she is," Brady replied, his jaw tightening. "She said the baby's a girl, but then she called it a boy. It's not just a slip-up, Steve. She's covering something up, and I need to know what." Steve nodded, his mind already turning over possibilities. He'd dealt with liars before, and Sophia's behavior fit the pattern. The nervous glances, the overly detailed explanations, the way she seemed to always be one step ahead of the questions, it all pointed to someone with something to hide. "All right," he said, leaning forward. "Let's dig into this. But we need to be smart about it. If Sophia's as slippery as you think, she's not going to make it easy." The investigation begins. Their plan was simple but meticulous. They would start by retracing Sophia's steps, piecing together her movements since she arrived in Salem. Steve's contacts in the police department gave them access to records that might shed light on Sophia's past, while Brady's connections in the community allowed them to ask questions without raising too many red flags. They needed to be discreet. If Sophia caught wind of their investigation, she'd bolt, or worse, cover her tracks so thoroughly they'd never find the truth. Their first stop was the hospital, where Sarah worked. Brady knew he couldn't directly ask her to break confidentiality, but he hoped he could glean something from her demeanor. When he and Steve arrived, Sarah was in the middle of a busy shift, her face a mask of professional calm. But Brady could see the strain in her eyes, the way her hands trembled slightly as she handed a chart to a nurse. "Sarah," Brady said, keeping his tone casual, "we're just following up on something. You ever notice anything off about Sophia? Anything that didn't add up?" Sarah's expression flickered, a momentary crack in her composure. "I can't discuss patients," she said, her voice firm but tinged with unease. "You know that, Brady." Steve stepped in, his tone smooth and disarming. "We're not asking you to break any rules, Sarah. Just curious if you've heard anything. People talk, you know." Sarah hesitated, her gaze darting between the two men. For a moment, it seemed like she might say something, but then she shook her head. "I haven't heard anything," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "You should ask Sophia yourself." Brady and Steve exchanged a glance. Sarah's response was as good as an admission that she knew something, but they couldn't push her further, not yet. They thanked her and left, their resolve only strengthened by her evasiveness. A trail of clues. The next piece of the puzzle came from an unexpected source: Javi and Leo, the couple who had been caring for Sophia's baby. Brady had always liked Javi and Leo. They were warm, genuine people who had taken to parenthood with a fierce devotion. But when he and Steve paid them a visit, they noticed something odd. The baby's nursery was filled with toys and clothes clearly meant for a boy, blue blankets, tiny sneakers, a mobile adorned with miniature cars. It was a small detail, but it set Brady's nerves on edge. "Beautiful kid you've got there," Steve said, peering into the crib where the baby slept peacefully. "What's his name again?" "Evan," Javi said proudly, unaware of the bomb he'd just dropped. Brady's heart skipped a beat. Evan. A boy's name. Sophia had told everyone the baby was a girl, but here was undeniable proof that she'd been lying. Steve kept the conversation light, asking about the baby's routines and how Javi and Leo were adjusting to parenthood. But Brady's mind was racing. Why would Sophia lie about something so fundamental? What was she trying to protect or hide? As they left the house, Brady turned to Steve, his voice low and urgent. "We need to find out where that baby came from. If Sophia's lying about the gender, what else is she lying about?" The shocking revelation. Their investigation led them to a small adoption agency on the outskirts of Salem, a place that specialized in private adoptions. The agency's director, a stern woman named Ms. Carter, was reluctant to share information, but Steve's charm and a few well-placed questions loosened her tongue. She confirmed that Sophia had been involved in an adoption process, but the details were murky. The baby, she said, had been placed with Javi and Leo through a private arrangement, and Sophia had been adamant that the child was a girl. "That's interesting," Steve said, his tone neutral but his eyes sharp. "Because we've heard the baby's a boy. Any chance there was a mix-up?" Miss Carter's face paled, and she quickly backtracked, claiming she'd need to check her records. But Brady and Steve had heard enough. The pieces were falling into place, and the picture they painted was damning. Sophia hadn't adopted a baby, she'd fabricated the entire story. The child in Javi and Leo's care was her biological son, and she'd lied about his gender to throw everyone off the scent. But why? What was she so desperate to hide? The confrontation looms. As Brady and Steve closed in on the truth, the tension in Salem reached a fever pitch. Sophia, sensing that her secret was in danger, became increasingly erratic. Her once flawless composure began to crack, replaced by a nervous energy that set everyone on edge. She avoided Brady's calls, dodged Steve's questions, and kept her distance from Sarah, as if she knew the walls were closing in. Brady, meanwhile, was consumed by the need to confront her. He couldn't let this lie fester any longer. The truth about Sophia's baby wasn't just a personal betrayal. It had the potential to upend lives, to shatter trust, to tear apart the fragile bonds that held Salem together. He and Steve agreed that they needed one final piece of evidence, something irrefutable that would force Sophia to come clean. Their breakthrough came in the form of a forgotten medical record, tucked away in the hospital's archives. It was a copy of Sophia's delivery report, obtained through a contact Steve had in the records department. The document was clear. Sophia had given birth to a healthy baby boy, named Evan, on the date she claimed to have adopted a girl. There was no adoption, no mysterious agency, no baby girl. It was all a lie, meticulously crafted to hide the truth of Evan's origins. Armed with this evidence, Brady and Steve prepared for the confrontation that would change everything. They knew it wouldn't be easy. Sophia was a master manipulator, capable of twisting the truth to suit her needs. But they were ready. The people of Salem deserved to know the truth, and Brady was determined to give it to them, no matter the cost. The storm approaches. As we await the explosive showdown, one question lingers. What drove Sophia to construct such an elaborate lie? Was it fear, shame, or something far more sinister? And what will happen when Brady and Steve finally lay their cards on the table? Will Sophia crumble under the weight of her deception, or will she find a way to slip through their fingers once again? One thing is certain, the truth is coming, and it will shake Salem to its core. Stay tuned to Days of Our Lives as Brady and Steve close in on Sophia's secret, and the fallout promises to be nothing short of catastrophic. We hope you enjoyed it and look forward to sharing more with you in the future. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe TV Days Drama Digest for more updates on Days of